perhaps the new owner's like, let's do something different. The Knicks Nurse thing, let's see about that. They have a really good assistant coach named Charles Lee, who's been hot as a potential candidate. But it's really, really early in the process, and you wonder, with this happening, could it have an after effect on Giannis and where he plays long term?
Where do you think Nurse might end up? And how do people view him? Because I don't watch Toronto a lot, Mark, but every time I do, I'm impressed with his coaching. And I thought he had a lot of people that felt the same way I did, that like, this guy can coach. Maybe he just needs a new room. Sometimes your voice gets lost a little bit, but how do people view him?
I think the players tuned him out in Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was, he had worn out his welcome there. But, obviously he's proven that he's a new coach. I mean, a great coach. He's won a championship. Good. And just checking in here, man. I'm sorry there's all this noise.
Go ahead.
But I just wonder if it's too soon for him, right? Like, should they go after somebody else? There's a lot of, thank you very much. There's a lot of good players to choose from. I mean, coaches to choose from. And I think he should definitely get a look. Like, I mean, man, there's so many former coaches, like even Lloyd Pierce locally went to Santa Clara. I think he's deserving of another chance. I think there's some guys like Phil Handy with the Milwaukee Bucks who, on coach's staff, or golly, give me the name of the guy with the Warriors. He used to be the coach of the Bucks.
Kenny Atkinson?
Yeah, Kenny Atkinson.
Yeah, he was with the Hornets.
I don't,
or Nets.
I don't think they need to rush, man. Just take your time, see who's best. Obviously, you got to get Giannis involved in this whole thing. Like, he definitely needs to be a part of this process. But I do think it was a little harsh to give Mike the boot after that.
Yeah, tough deal, man. It's always weird, too. It's like there's news that they wanted to fire him, and then he wins the title, and they're like, great. It's kind of how I felt about, like, Dusty Baker in 2002. Like, if the Giants won, they were like, damn, now we're gonna move on from him. Now we got to bring him back because he won it all. So I guess we'll see what happens. How many other jobs are out there this offseason? Is there anything else attractive, really?
Toronto.
Yeah.
I think Toronto's a really, really attractive job. I mean, they got Fred VanVleet's a free agent, but you still have Siakam. You have the Rookie of the Year from last year, some talented young players.
Anunoby, yeah.
Yeah, I like that job for whoever could give it.
So what do you think about this series? I mean, it's fun to watch because both teams do things completely differently, and it's who can win at their game. Do you feel any differently? I don't know. Maybe you thought the Lakers were going to win from the get-go. I'm not sure, but do you feel any differently after Game 1?
I'm really scared about what Anthony Davis can do to the Warriors. I mean, that was I was on the radio 2 days ago with the morning crew, and I think I mentioned Anthony Davis like 10 times. He's just their kryptonite, man. And I really don't think the Warriors have nothing they're able to do to stop him. The thing is this, the Warriors got to take the ball to the hole and try to get some fouls. And it seemed like they were, so they could get to the free throw line. They're certainly very intimidated by LeBron from a shot blocking standpoint. They've been obviously intimidated for good reason from Anthony Davis. But they got to figure out a way to get those guys in foul trouble, get to the line. And I think in a lot of ways the Warriors are like playing with fire, bailing them out with the live by the three, die by the three mentality. I mean, it's okay to shoot threes, but mixing a drive here and there, mixing a
salad, yeah, for sure.
Here and there, like to me, they made it easy for the Lakers to win that game by not challenging them, by shooting all those threes. Maybe I'm too old, but watching all those threes gets not too fun to watch to me. Like, it's just like.
No, you've been saying the same thing I've said forever.
I was like, here we go. Go ahead, Tom.
Because every team does the same thing. That's why this series is so much fun, because the Lakers don't do that. They're like an old school
Yeah.
basketball team. So it's kind of like they're throwbacks versus kind of the new school of thinking, and it's who's going to win out. No, but I will say this. If you're going to hit 40% of your threes, you could shoot 90 threes if you want to shoot 90 threes. Because they only hit 40% of their twos. They were terrible inside the that number's got to rise up a little bit. So, but I'm with you in terms of stylistically.
Did they take?
53.
How many did they even take?
53. They took 106 shots. 106.
Yeah. They
that
took
is
more 3-pointers than they did 2-pointers, right?
No, I think it was 53-53. I think it was split right down the middle, which, again, it's a pretty high percentage, but you're making 40% of your threes, so that's not – I would suspect they're not going to shoot that many threes because the Lakers are going to do a better job of taking those away. And I think you hit on something. Where does a small ball lineup come into play, and do they go zone? And because that's the one thing the Lakers don't do well is shoot it. Can a zone – occasionally kind of throw them off, and you can pack it in a little bit on Anthony Davis to negate their strength in the paint.
Yeah. So no, I just think that maybe it's time to dust off Kuminga. He has a 7-foot wingspan. Mm-hmm. I mean, what do you got to lose? I mean, like Michael Green just doesn't seem good enough for the series. I think Draymond didn't play okay on Anthony Davis when he got the opportunity, but I mean, what do they have to lose by giving Kuminga a chance, at least to try him defensively? They have an athlete that will, on that team, take the ball to the hole and try to dunk it on them and dunk on people. The length that the Lakers have, with Vanderbilt defensively, and then, obviously Anthony Davis and LeBron, it's just their athleticism is really glaring over the Warriors. So I do think it's time for them to perhaps use some more athleticism like Kuminga. I think he's really their only hope there.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you have more there, Tom? You following up on that? No? There he is.
I'm just listening.
Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry.
No, I was listening.
I thought you were following up on that.
No, I was listening to the background noise.
You delayed again, Mark?
I wanted to make sure there was no tornado warnings or anything like that.
Yeah, what's up? Are you delayed again?
No, I'm not. No. There's not tornado warnings in L.A.
Oh, you're in L.A.? I thought you were in Oklahoma.
He's waiting for his flight to Oklahoma.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, you never saw that movie? Where there were the tornadoes in L.A.? What was it? Like, I forget what the name of that movie was.
The Day After Tomorrow?
Yeah, something like that. One of those movies.
The day before the day after tomorrow. That's tomorrow. That's today.
What happened?
Thank you.
This Hollywood. Godzilla might show up in any minute. Right?
Dennis Quaid, too. Yeah, Dennis Quaid might help you, too. Mark, have a safe trip out there, man. Way to give back to the kids, dude, and we'll see you next week. Thanks so much.
Take care, guys.
Thanks, Mark.
Good stuff from Mark.
Hey, I'd rather it be Dennis Quaid than Randy Quaid.
Yes.
Yeah. He's like a human tornado.
He's a human tornado. Plus, you got the relationship with Meg Ryan, for many years. If you're Dennis Quaid.
Whatever happened to Randy Quaid? But that guy just went off the deep end, man.
Major League 2 might have been the last time I saw him.
Oh, that guy went bonkers. I loved him as Cousin Eddie, but since then, rough.
Right, he fell on hard times. Did Randy Quaid? We'll follow up more on the Kuminga stuff before we get out of here. Just one more thought on that, though. I imagine there are series because it's like Kuminga's ability. We've just talked a bunch about this, where we know he can hold up, he can hang with these guys ability wise. It's about his consistency and his processing and decision making. I imagine that there are series that are much higher intelligence series than other series, right? Matchups throughout the course of a series. This to me strikes me as a high intelligence series, and it's his basketball IQ or lack of knowledge and experience that is, I think, the biggest fear in a series like this, where his athletic ability can't just take over because he can be outsmarted. Does that hold any sort of weight? Is there anything to that?
Say it again.
I imagine because of a guy like LeBron, right?
Yeah.
We talk about how he's a savant. A guy like Draymond's a savant. I think Anthony Davis is a very smart player. I think Hachimura is a solid player, comes from a good system. And at Gonzaga, I think they've got a lot of guys who have been around long enough, and they've got guys with championship pedigree that they are not going to beat themselves mentally more often than not, I think.
I'd agree with that.
Whereas if you have Kuminga out there, his athletic ability can hold up, and if he's there, that's why he's there. However, he's more of a detriment in a high-intelligence basketball series than he is in maybe I don't know what a normal series would be, but a more average one because he can be exploited with a mental mistake versus maybe just a physical one.
I think that's fair.
Okay. Long way to get there, but that's what I was.
No, I know where you're going. It's still, for me, the concern for me is, can he focus his energies on
the rebounding?
Just a small checklist, and just make sure that I take care of those. Like, I'm going to be on top of it defensively. I'm going to be on top of it on the boards. I'm going to defer offensively. I'm not going to try to be too aggressive. If it's there, I'll take it. If it's not, I'm not going to try to drive from the top of the key, how he does the tornado move where he hits and he spins and he tries to go up. Like, that type of stuff. Like, minimize that type of stuff. And I'm not saying you can't do it, but there's a difference between doing that kind of stuff with 18 seconds on the shot clock and 7 seconds left on the shot clock. 18 seconds, you haven't really explored it. And unless it's wide open to the rim, you got a rim run, go ahead, take it. Just explore some other things, because he's not you wouldn't call him by any stretch of the imagination above average offensive player right now. So those are the type of things like, okay, that is not a priority. My priority is running the court every time. My priority is getting on the glass every time. My priority is to be locked in, knowing what we're going to do on defense and knowing what I have to do on defense. That's it. That's your checklist. Like, let me do that. The rest of it is a bonus. Because the trouble is players get in their head, like, I know I can do this. I'm going to do it. I know I can do it. Well, yeah, you can, but is it efficient? Dude, should you be doing that? Not can you do it. Is that the smart thing to be doing? So if you minimize all that and just kind of take the clutter out of your head, like, okay, forget about this stuff. Let me concentrate on these 3 things. That's what my goal is. Impact the game defensively, rebounding, and just solid knowing what we're doing out there and being in the right spot at the right time. That's it. That's what my focus is. All the other stuff's gravy, but that's what I need to do. Problem is, sometimes he's not taking care of those 3 things. And if you're not going to take care of those 3 things, then your value decreases by a lot.
Yep.
And that's the reason he's not playing much, I would suspect.
And you become a hazard. And can't have hazards out there against LeBron
No
James
hazards.
and Anthony Davis. We are just under 2 hours from tip, 6 o'clock out at Chase Center. And FP Santangelo will be here 6 to 10 tonight. He will be here for your postgame Warriors as well. Get you through the ride home. Hopefully talking about a 1-1 series tie. On the other side, little sound soiree for you. How about this? We've got some sound as it relates to the Lakers, who revamped their entire roster at the trade deadline. Russell Westbrook out, Pat Beverly out. Well, if the Lakers won a championship, Russell Westbrook would get a ring, right? Does he want a ring? Pat Beverly says he does. We've got that sound for you next. And Draymond Green commented on his play in Game 1. That's all coming your way in the Sound Soiree. Tolbert and Copes on the Sports Leader.